So I'm prepping all this amazing food. We've got cauliflower. I'm going to roast it. And then spaghetti squash. And then I'm chopping up some vegetables for snacking. I've got red peppers and cucumbers. And I was just thinking about humanity and compassion. And I was thinking about how to help people be more compassionate. Some of the ways, this has been a gift of mine, I know, because I've had plenty of discussions to where I realized that, and I'm still chopping vegetables here, I realized that some people have this gift and other people have a hard time with it. They're just jaded, or there's just something that happened to where they say it's hard. So one of the exercises or things that I do is I understand that everybody was a baby once. We were all babies. We all came from being a baby. And when you think of babies, babies have this innocence. They are just pure. And then what happens is, as a baby, you have an environment that you're born into, and you get to figure out this existence on earth based on how you feel all of your senses, if you're lucky to have all of them, and based on how other people react and respond to you, and based on how other people react and respond to your caretakers or immediate environment. And there you start to formulate the hardwiring of the brain, and you start to learn, create value based on security and things like that. And so sometimes, if we understand that everybody was a baby once, and if they grew up in a very traumatic environment, it doesn't excuse the behavior, but it helps us understand why they make the choices they make. And it helps us to have compassion, meaning more understanding than an automated free pass. So when I think of compassion, I think of, in most time, you can't comprehend some of the worst, most destructive behaviors. You can't comprehend it. And that's where you ask God for help, because you might not ever know why, and you might not ever comprehend. But to ask and to have the intention of wanting to be more compassionate and wanting to come from, you gotta say, like, I want to feel differently. How can I feel differently? How can I look at this differently? How can I be less judgmental and more curious and more accepting and loving of my fellow human beings? And that's where it starts. That's the beginning of compassion. And I mean, there's plenty of ways that it can start. That's just, to me, it's an easy way to look at it, is we were all babies once. We're all hardwired as human beings in the physical bodies from the time we were born until where we're at now. And there are so many different layers of events and situations that create this wiring. And until people are aware of it, they're either going to be unconscious, like unaware of it, or once they become aware, they might be conscious but not know how to change it because it's so hardwired. So that takes time, and it starts with self-awareness and self-mastery, and that's the journey that I've been on since 2008. If I had to say a specific time, 2008 was the beginning, and a lot of people call it awakening. It's where you dissolve the veil of being in the dark about yourself, the world, your belief, like everything you've just bought into. Now you start to dissect and understand why you bought into this, and you get to decide then. If it were automatic and unconscious and unknown, now you get to decide, do I really feel this way? Do I really agree with this? Does this really resonate with me? And along that journey, you might lose people, and that's okay. You can love people from afar and understand that if they're meant to be in your life and they resonate with where you're going, they will stay. And if they're not, you can love them and allow each other to move on through life and allow each other to grow in different directions if somebody else's truth is different than yours, and love them. You don't have to not like somebody because they don't agree with the way you're living, or you don't agree with the way they're living. You can still send love to somebody who's different than you. You can choose what resonates and what doesn't.